Alright, what's going on, you guys? It's your boy 360 Stacks in this thing, baby, representing TKOG. And today I'm going to be updating another one of my favorite decks. I just enjoy mid-range decks that can combo and clap you out of nowhere, that are just as explosive as combo decks, but have the comfort zone and I guess you could say the leeway to pretty much make a very subpar slash mediocre board and get away with it with a conservative playstyle, just to play around as many hand traps as possible while still getting a really strong inboard on your opponent's turn. So what I mean by that is decks like this and decks like Shadal's, decks that allow you to make plays on your opponent's turns that actually capitalize and generate advantage and pretty much give you additional main phases when you really think about it. Like decks like this, decks like Prank Kid, decks like Shadal's, and decks like Dragon Maids, all of those allow you to make plays on your opponent's turn that can do similar things that what you can do on your turn. So I love those decks because you can get away with consolidating resources for conservative plays just so that you don't play into too many hand traps, because I'm a very conservative player. Like, it comes naturally because I normally play around all the hand traps that affect me. So I play as if my opponent has them, and it's just a smart practice. And you can get away with it on decks like this because you can finish your board off on your opponent's turn instead of making it all pretty and just making this fat, unbreakable, just scary looking board. You end on something that looks like trash and your opponent doesn't take it seriously, and then you build your board on their turn. It's insane. And Plunder Patrols are just like those decks that were previously aforementioned, that it has the comfort and leeway to play conservative when necessary but still combo off, and it doesn't have to combo off to win, if you believe it or not, because a lot of times, I know this sounds crazy, but if you make a Blackbeard with a Whitebeard in hand and a booty face down, you'll basically summon Blackbeard set 1. On your opponent's turn, that will literally cascade into a full field. And you'll literally search out your entire engine, get every Plunder Patrol card that you need for your follow-up. So as you are interacting with your opponent, banishing their cards, negating their cards, you're generating advantage in a surplus that just turns into this overwhelming snowballing effect that by the time your next turn comes around, you are so far ahead that your opponent will waste time trying to catch up, and it's just way too hard because you're going to put too much pressure into the field. So Plunder Patrols are an amazing deck, very skillful. Their biggest downfall and their Achilles heel is the gimmick of the deck, relying on the attributes your opponent has. And in a format where Virtual World and also Tri-Brigade are popping, it's very difficult to play this deck effectively because they don't normally give you what you need. And so you kind of have to work around that, and that's why my list is a lot more explosive than most. I play a lot more of the in-archetype extenders so that I can hard summon my Plunder Patrol ships without relying on making them by tagging into them, if that makes sense. And hard summoning them also gives you the benefit of bringing them back off cards like Booty, which is super duper nice. So yeah, deck's grind games on fleek. The deck has the explosiveness, it has utility, it can toolbox, it can play out of sticky situations. You can do so much with this deck. It's really powerful going second. People underestimate how good this deck is. You don't even need a hand trap to break the Tri-Brigade board. You don't even need a hand trap to break the Virtual World board. You don't even need a hand trap. Like, the only thing that you would have to be cautious of is Shinshin, but like the whole board can be broke with just Plunder Patrol cards, and I think that's super important to know. So yeah, if you guys haven't done so already, please subscribe to my channel. If you want to support me in any way, shape, or form, whether it's through donating or becoming a member of my Patreon or my Discord or buying my merchandise, feel free to do that. I recommend it. I do give back to those who give to me, but nonetheless, let's go ahead and get into this list, you guys. This deck's pretty fire. So for our starters, I look at all the Plunder Patrol monsters as starters. So we have Whitebeard, and we also have Redbeard, and then I'm going to go ahead and set up my other Plunders. These are like the superior ones. These can do stuff by themselves in the sense that they are like one-card starters. So like this is a one-card Blackbeard, and these can tag in the ships on their own as long as the, you know, obviously preferential attribute is available to you, which is sometimes that's just the disposition you put yourself in because that's the gimmick of the deck. So long as your opponent has an attribute, these are one-card starters by themselves. And why are they starters, 3 stacks? Why? Like how? All they do is summon a ship. Well, because every Plunder Patrol that you summon that interacts with your opponent searches your deck. So whenever you disrupt your opponent, you give yourself a starter. So these are all starters in that sense. Like, these also snowball because anytime you can search for a shipyard off of a Morg or a lease, that's a whole starter right there, because that searches your entire deck. And that thing, as long as it's up, gives you firepower, gives you more pressure, and every turn you get yourself a search for what you need. So it's just really, really strong. So these are like ideal plunders you want to open. These are more for extending plays and pushing through hand traps. Golden Hair is also an extender. You seldom use its effect from hand. You more like to use it from grave, but the card itself is just an extender. You extend with the 1-card combo, or you use it to pitch something to summon it from your hand. That's an extender. Then you pitch something else to bring it back. It's just one of the best extenders in the deck. And then Bluebeard and also Black Eye are really, really powerful extenders. I get people with this combo all the time. Like, people really don't know, like, White Aura Well is a card. So, like, Whitebeard plus Bluebeard is insane. Like, Whitebeard and Bluebeard, or even Golden Hair plus Bluebeard, is just so insane. You sync anytime you could synchro for White Aura Well and Chain Block. So the Tri-Brigade board, if they don't have a Veiler or Imperm, of course, when you summon this to summon this, people don't get threatened by seeing that. They see 2 level 4s, so they want to wait and see what you're going to do. If you're going to XYZ, Synchro, you know, Link. But people just do not know that this card exists. I'm telling you right now, people let me get away with it way too much. I feel like they should be catching on and noticing, like, well, if I've seen him use it before, I should stop it. But the bottom line is, like, going second, if you open an extender plus a tuner, you can make White Aura Well, and because all of these guys have effects when they're in grave, except for this one, but when these guys are sent to grave, they immediately can trigger their effect. You could chain block your White Aura Well, pop the Appaloosa, and pop the Ancient Warriors Link too, and all they have left is Revolt, which just means that's the only thing you have to play through against the like other established boards. Like if you Dark Ruler a Drytron board or a Droplets stem, you could just White Aura Well to clear most of the stuff. And all you have to do is worry about the Herald at that point. The orange lights also, that helps to dodge the orange lights because you can chain block. It's just super duper powerful, honestly. Like, these cards are just bread and butter. This is one of the newer cards that came out for this deck, and it really did give this deck a better grind game. And a better extender too. This card is just single-handedly just insane. Like, on your follow-ups, if you're just in top deck mode and you happen to have this, or you Druid or search it on your opponent's turn, this card, if your board gets broken, you can make the whole board all over just off this. Like, reveal it, add Whitebeard, summon it, normal Whitebeard, make a Blackbeard, Whitebeard's effect to summon something from deck, and then Blackbeard tags, the Redbeard you summon from deck tags. You can discard a card from your hand to summon out Golden Air. Like, this deck plays out of its grave extremely well, and it has floaters and it grinds. You can also use this because it doesn't like specify, like, it literally, like, so it summons itself, and then if you do, you add the card to your hand, and because of that, this actually allows you to recycle your extra deck cards too. So it's just something that's fun to know. Even though Booty can do that for you, it just allows you to keep grinding, because as long as you can summon shits from your extra deck, you can continue to play this deck. So just so many plays you can facilitate with this deck. It's amazing. Extender draws cards, extender adds cards from grave to hand, and summons for your spell or trap zone. Purely an extender, and it's just like a little dragon ruler. You play out of your grave every turn with Golden Hair. This card's insane. And these are just bread and butter. These are the OG Plunder Patrols. Before any other support came out, you had Whitebeard and Redbeard. And we were literally summoning Morg and Brawn. For more starters, we have 3 copies of Shipyard. I love this card's Graveyard effect. It's so good for interactions when you're low on resources and you don't have a Plunder name. Or if you discard a Plunder for cost and your opponent Ash Blossoms you, this is another good way to get a Plunder back in your hand so that you can keep playing. And it boosts all your guys, makes them really huge. That's why you really don't need Access Code or Boro Sword. You can just get away with not playing them. And the card searches any Plunder Patrol card in the deck. It's insane. It basically has 3 effects. And then Optimus Prime, just to, you know, open it more consistently. We have 3 Pot of Desires. These are just all consistency cards. The deck is not really bricky, but I just like kind of going a little bit further than just the RNG of drawing one of the 15 names. You know, you just want to maximize, because any good hand in this deck can play through even some of the best boards people are making these days. This card, by itself, people really just don't get how powerful this card is. So this is something that's really cool. I've done this against Herald of Perfection, you guys. I've done this. So I activated Shipyard, did not get negated. I activate Shipping, it gets negated, right? And then what I do is I normal summon, use the effect from Grave to activate Emblem, and then use Emblem's effect while it's active. It's an effect of something that's already activated, so Herald cannot negate it. Then you summon out a ship, and if you summon out the lease comes out, gaining 500 from the equip and 500 from the field spell. So I just attacked over Herald because it's at 3,000. So this card, like literally, this card helps you to out Herald of Perfection, believe it or not. It's just super duper powerful. And even then, worst case scenario, it allows you to cheat out an extra negate without Herald being able to disrupt that, even if it's ultimate is, because he can't negate the summon if Emblem brought it out, because the spell's what resolved, and then that's what got it out. It's not like an inherent summon. So yeah, this card's very, very broken, actually. Going second, this card's cracked, because they have to negate it, otherwise you put a negator out. Then you just use the graveyard effect, and if they negate that, you just force 2 negates with 1 card. And the only thing that's once per turn is the graveyard effect. So you activate this into an established board, it's forcing 2 interruptions by itself. They negate it, you summon something, equip to it, and you just play from there. You have so many extenders, so much gas. This is why I love 3 Emblem. I think 3 Emblem, this format's really important, because people have attributes that you do not want or you do not need. You use your hand traps, you play the hand traps with attributes that you need. Like you want to play, like right now I don't think DD Crow's that great, but in formats where DD Crow and Skullmeister are amazing, you play those so that you can use this to make more work. You play the light attribute hand traps to make your lease. You play Ash to make your Brawn, and it just kind of just helps you out to basically play around the gimmick of the deck. You know, like they made this card for a reason, because I think Konami realized like you can't rely on your opponent to play this deck, otherwise you will get screwed all the time. And then to finish up the Plunder cards, I also played 2 Booty. I actually cut Booty down to 2 just to make space. Space was an issue because the new Plunder Patrol support obviously took up 3 slots, and then I still needed to play a decent amount of hand traps plus utility cards, which this next pile of cards is just that. So we play the Gamma package. Gamma is actually a starter in this deck because it makes a Plunder name, and it also helps you to play around Ash and Droll on your Desires and your Field Spell. And when you discard Whitebeard for cost, stuff like that, people will Ash that, or they'll Skullmeister it. They'll Gold Spell your Golden Hair, stuff like that. Gamma just has so much utility. And then we also play Nibiru. I figured if I'm going to play hand traps, they have to be really impactful or they're not worth playing, since I could only play 9. I chose Ash, Nibiru, and Gamma. It could just be like Ash, Valor, Imperm if you just want to go all low impact that are still good against Tri, since Tri is one of your worst matchups, but I just like these. I mean, Gamma and Ash, like, I do actually Ash Fractal. I think that is the correct play, even if it plays into Gamma, because if you keep them from loading their grave with at least 2 names, they really can't play. Like, they just can't. They have not enough to banish. They don't have a Link 1 that they can make. So it's just, this is bread and butter right here. And these are attributes you can use to your advantage. Nibiru is also a combo piece like Gamma, in the sense that when you nib your opponent and you normal a Plunder, that's an instant Blackbeard right there. And Blackbeard, when he hits the field, this card is crazy. Like, this card dodges so much. People don't know how to read cards, and I'm not even kidding. So people like Valor, Imperm, Fogblade this, Forbidden Chalice it, and you just chain his effect. It's just crazy good. And the cool thing is, because those don't remove the body, even if they do it on the effect, all they did was stop him on your turn. Then on your opponent's draw phase, you activate his effect again, and they have to try and negate it again. So this card takes so much resource from your opponent when you know how to use it. It's just so good. This deck is just a very, very good deck. And then for defensive utility cards, I play Droplet Talents. I feel like these should be staples in like every deck. If I had 3, I'd play 3. Honestly, really, these aren't mine, but really need to get the 3rd, because me and my friend, we share cards. So if I get a 3rd, basically that means we have 3. And this card's so good in this deck. Talents and Droplets are insane. Like, Droplets has so many cool interactions in this deck. All your cards can get back, like, they get value from the grave, and you can get them back from the grave sometimes. There's stuff like activate Redbeard's effect to summon a ship. And then they're like, okay, I activate Dragoon. Then you chain Droplets, send Redbeard for cost. You summon out the Morg that Redbeard wanted to summon. Separate chain Redbeard, equip itself to Morg. So Droplets paid for free, and Redbeard still got to equip so that it's still a quick effect on Morg. So Redbeard Droplets is one of the coolest interactions in this deck. Droplets to send Whitebeard and Field Spell is also really good, because Whitebeard can summon Redbeard, and then you normal summon something, make a Blackbeard, Redbeard to equip it, and then Field Spell, bounce the Redbeard back to hand, and Droplets just does cool stuff like that. I can name so many Droplets interactions, but this deck is already such a skillful deck, and then Droplets being the skillful card it just gives you a way higher ceiling. There's so many cool interactions. And even your ships, they don't have to be equipped to activate their effects, so if you need a big fat Droplets, you can Droplets a bunch of Plunder names in your spell or trap zone. And it's really fine, because you can replace all of them. You can re-equip to all of them. It's just one of those things where you just need a fat Droplet. You can get that. This card just gives you so much resources. This deck just gives you so much resources, like field presence and economics, that you can work with, that allows Droplets to be used a lot more aggressively and also defensively than most decks could get away with. Because most decks could only afford to send like 1 or 2, but you could actually Droplets for 3 and still plus with this deck. It's kind of like playing it in Eldritch, if that makes sense. So, get into the extra deck. The bread and butter, the best card in the extra deck is Blackbeard. This card allows you to continually draw cards. So what I do is, I've talked about this, but I set up this resource loop with Lease and Black. So what I'm doing is, you want to make sure both these are properly summoned, or at least properly summon him. Because what you're going to do is you're going to Blackbeard, target himself, summon something else, draw a card. Lease to summon Blackbeard from the spell trap zone when you're done, just so you can do it again. Because by the time you get that, that's because he's once per turn, so you do it once on your turn, once on your opponent's turn. So you do it on your turn, after you're done with the card that you summon off him, using its effect, you Lease to summon him back, then come on your turn, you use his effect again, equip him, draw something. You've already searched something that you can use from Lease to equip to the ship that Blackbeard made last turn, so it can still be a quick effect. And once you do that, so like, again, I'm going to explain again, so like Blackbeard into something, Lease summon it, right? You draw 1. And then on your turn, Blackbeard summon something, draw 1, Lease summon it. And then Blackbeard summon something, draw 1, Lease summon it. Like the whole point is like you get upstarts on each turn. So you draw 1 on your turn, you draw 1 on your opponent's turn. And when you're playing hand traps and defensive cards, that's really good. You're already searching everything you need, and just that free draw every time, it helps you to dig deeper for your when you side deck. It's just such a powerful loop. You just consistently draw and search, and it allows you to circumvent for a lack of resources when you don't have it, which is really, really good. So this is a cool loop right here. And then I'm a big advocate on 3 copies of Mork. Mork is single-handedly like the best ship in my opinion, especially this format and last format. Should all format, this was the best one. Banishing their fusions, GG no re. A lot of the times, banishing Golden Lords. This was like last format. This format, banishing Plunder, banishing the Tri-Brigades, the normal summons, and the Kurazes against Virtual World. This and this are better than Lease. You just banish whatever they target with their effect, and that denies so much because, like, let's say like you Lease and negate like a Lily or a Lulu, they could still reveal another name and target that same card. But if you banish the target, not only does that affect Fizzle, but the next card they want to use, they need another card on field to do it again. So these cards are crazy against Virtual World. They're crazy against Tri-Brigade. They're super duper powerful against Prinkets. Like this is extremely, extremely powerful against Prinkets. So is this. And then against, I'm just naming like meta matchups. What's other decks? Oh yeah, Dragon Link. Card's insane against Dragon Link. Man, it's just the meta. And then against Drytrons, this card's just insane. This card is really, really, really powerful against Drytrons too, because you can banish their ritual spell, and that's super duper crucial. Like, that's huge. That's high impact. So honestly, the Plunders just have such good interactions against everything. Their only issue is like being able to summon these sometimes when you can't make them yourself and your opponent doesn't give you the attributes. That's where this deck really struggles at. But other than that, it's a really good deck. We have 1 Dragite for spell trap negates that the deck doesn't have. Till we get a Plunder ship that says discard a Plunder, negate an activation of a spell or trap, we have to play Dragite. The other cool thing is because I play Nibiru's, when I summon this, I do activate this effect, and people never negate it because they think I'm trying to bait them. Yes, I am, but also at the same time, I'm praying that I actually do reveal a Nibiru, so that this card out stuff like Dragoon and etc. And when you're going against established, like, I bring this up a lot because my locals, there's 2 people that really love PK Fire. When you summon this against PK Fire, this card can force Fog Blade, and then you chain its effect to negate that Fog Blade, then the other Fog Blade has to be flipped on it. And then you just link this off into a Blackbeard, and you play through double Fog Blade. Because once you activate it and they realize, yeah, this guy does play Nibiru, just the offset chance that you could, they have to negate it. It's a really, really powerful card. We have White Aura Will, breaks boards going second. You could chain block, so it's just super free. You just normal summon, special summon. Most people just don't want to throw their resources at a reveal Bluebeard to special, so they just let it resolve like they always do. And if they negate it, you just draw a card. So honestly, it's a win-win situation. Dweller, best card, one of the best cards to make this format. There's some decks that you just need Dweller because like your engine itself is not always going to be good enough. So Dweller, White Aura, and Dragite are just like that extra that the deck really needs. Like, this is super important because sometimes you put big Nibiru tokens, like you'll Nibiru for a lot, and then even with Shipyard and the boost from Brawn, your Plunder still can't get over the Nibiru token. So you'll literally give it to your opponent in attack position, fully planning to White Aura Well the Nibiru token. So just some things that come up. I'm just speaking from experience. That's all I will ever speak from. For you guys' experience, that's how you guys know, like, I'm not just showing you a list just to make a profile. I'm showing you what I've done, what I've played, what I've tested. And speaking from experience, it's always going to be more trustworthy information than just, oh, this is a shoulda, coulda, woulda scenario. No, like, this is stuff that really happens. So thank you guys so much for watching the video. God bless you guys. Make good choices. Don't hurt your brain cells. Stay tuned for future content. And I'm going to update my dragon mates. And that's going to be my 3 videos for the day. Peace.